Hi, A&Pers. This is Dr. Jones checking in. This is A&P1 Lab 4 video 5 maybe. So I wanted to cover this model. I call this the Brainstem Model. And it tears apart into more pieces than the one that I call the hemisphere brain. So you still have the cerebrum and the cerebellum. The cerebellum, you can see the cerebellar hemispheres. You can see the vermis. Vermis means worm, down the middle. And you can see the little raised folds, which are called folia. The only thing on the cerebellum list that you can't see on here is the arbor vitae. And here you've got the vermis, the folia, cerebellar hemisphere. And when you do a cross-section of the cerebellum, you can see this branched white matter, and that's the arbor vitae. Arbor vitae, of course, is Latin for tree of life. So the other things that we can see in this model, here you've got your insula. This is the corpus callosum, and this space here is that back wing of the lateral ventricle. So you see how that matches this? So this is the lateral ventricle here. Corpus callosum, fornix. You've got your internal capsule. The red swooshes are your caudate nuclei. Let's take off the prefrontal cortex, temporal and occipital lobes. Actually, I think we already covered most of the stuff on here. I wanted to show you the rest of the model though. So let's talk about the cranial nerves. So for the cranial nerves, if you put the prefrontal cortex back on, you'll have all the cranial nerves here. So this is olfactory cranial nerve Roman numeral 1. This is your optic cranial nerve Roman numeral 2. And of course we've got bilateral symmetry here. These come in pairs. And then this white nub here is the oculomotor, cranial nerve 3. The little white lines painted on the sides are the trochlea, Roman numeral 4. Next we have the trigeminal, which is the kind of stumps on the side. That's Roman numeral 5. And then this is the pons, this is the medulla oblongata. We've got a bunch that come out on that line separating the pons for the medulla oblongata, and these start medial and go lateral. So this is 6, 7, 8. So you've got 6, 7, 8 on this side, and 6, 7, 8 on this side. So 6 is the abducens. 7, which is this one in the front here, is the facial. 8 is the auditory or vestibulocochlear. And then we're going to go down the side. So this one right here, let me get my pointy stick so I can point a little more accurately. This is cranial nerve 9, the Glossopharyngeal, cranial nerve 10, which is the vagus. V-A-G-U-S, it's 2 letters different from vagus. And then this white skinny one down the side is the spinal accessory, number 11. And then the hypoglossal is number 12. On this model, the hypoglossal is directly under 6. So you've got 6 over 12. So if you've got 6 over 12, it almost looks like a fraction. So if you eat 6/12 of a pie, you just ate half a pie. So that's to help you remember that the 12 is under the 6. So let's do those again. This is Roman numeral 1, which is the olfactory nerve. Roman numeral 2, which is the optic nerve. Roman numeral 3 is the oculomotor. The tiny little one on the side, 4, which is trochlear. great big stump on the side of the pons. 5, which is trigeminal. And now we go medial to lateral. 6, which is abducens. 7, which is facial. 8, which is, you go in auditory or vestibulocochlear. And then 9, which is our glossopharyngeal. 10, vagus is a 10, baby. 11, spinal accessory, and 12, hypoglossal. So let's see those on the other model. So here's your olfactory nerve, number 1. Here's your optic nerve, number 2. And let me show you the optic chiasm. I skipped the optic chiasm before, but it's this white snout where the seahorse, where the little seahorse nose, right there. So here's the side with the numbers on it. So we've got olfactory, optic nerve 2. This is the optic chiasm, which is not a cranial nerve. It's where the optic nerve crosses the midline. The chiasm means cross. So we've cut through those myelinated nerves. So that's why it's that bright white color. So olfactory, optic, and right here, this is your oculomotor. Get this closer to the camera here. This is your oculomotor. Now that is the mammillary body. The mammillary body on the other model we looked at was green. On this model, it's white. So that's the mammillary body. In fact, on the other side, the mammillary body will have a lowercase cursive m. So we're talking about 3, which is the cranial nerve. Right here. So I like to think of it as, if this is a pregnant belly, then this is the bowl of ice cream, because when the pregnant belly goes straight out, it makes a great shelf for the bowl of ice cream. So, our 4 is missing. 4 is a tiny wire. Switching sides again, because this one has a 4. 4 is that little wire, that's the trochlea. 5 is the trigeminal, which is the stump on the lateral pons. And then again, we're going medial to lateral for 6, 7, 8. So 6 is abducens, 7 is facial, 8 is vestibulocochlear or auditory. And this one, 9, is easier to see, plus it's got its own number. It's got a 38 here, so this is the 9, the glossopharyngeal. 10 is the vagus, and then that white stripe down the side is 11, spinal accessory, and then you have to go medial and superior a little bit to find 12, the hypoglossal. And this model, the 12 isn't quite under the 6, but it's definitely medial and superior to number 11. Okay, that's some about cranial nerves. This is A&P 1, Lab 4, Video 5, maybe. The education must go on. Dr. J out.